Super Bowl 57 is this Sunday, and we have a battle of number 1 seeds. From the NFC, my favorite team, the Philadelphia Eagles, looking for their second championship since 2017. And from the AFC, the new dynasty in the NFL, the Kansas City Chiefs, making their third trip to the Super Bowl in the last 4 years. This should be a great game, and I will give my prediction later. But today, let's turn this into a coaster battle. Normally, I do a battle of each team's home park, but this one was hard. I could have done Worlds of Fun against Dorney Park, but that was kinda lame. I was looking at maybe Silver Dollar City against Knoebels, but that didn't really work, so I'm gonna pull back for a broader view. These teams play in two of the best coaster states in the country, so let's pit those against each other for an all-new kind of Super Bowl battle. For all the marbles, it's Missouri against Pennsylvania. Let's start this with the battle of the best B&Ms. For Pennsylvania, I have Candemonium at Hershey Park. For Missouri, I have Wildfire at Silver Dollar City. Candemonium is B&M's newest hyper, 210 feet tall, 76 miles per hour, over 4,600 feet of track. It has one of those awesome 5-second airtime hills, a speed hill, and overall, it's an awesome ride, but one of the weakest B&M hypers out there. On the other side, Wildfire is one of B&M's rare sit-down loopers. This one going back to 2001, standing 120 feet tall, but dropping 155 feet down the side of a hill, topping out at 66 miles per hour. It goes through 5 inversions over 3,000 feet of track, and its setting is amazing. You can just stand there and take in the whole ride. My last ride just a couple months ago was great. I got all the ejector airtime on the first drop, and it ran very smooth this time around. This is closer than you may think, but I would still choose Candemonium over Wildfire. I gotta take the airtime over the inversions. First point goes to the Eagles. Next, the battle of the B&M inverse. For Pennsylvania, it's Great Bear at Hershey Park. For Missouri, it's Patriot at Worlds of Fun. Great Bear is a quirky invert, only 2,800 feet long, only has 4 inversions, but I love this thing. It has a helix before its 124-foot drop, follows a straight line with a loop, Immelman, and 0G roll, then goes into a creek for its final corkscrew. All this while flying over the hollow section of the park. Patriot is very similar, a little longer at almost 3,100 feet. Its drop is 1 foot shorter, and it also has 4 inversions. This has more filler elements, including an airtime hill, and it takes place over a grassy field. It's a very enjoyable ride, but I did not enjoy it anywhere near as much as Great Bear. Point for the Eagles, 2-0. Next, the battle of the best arrows. For Pennsylvania, I have Trailblazer at Hershey Park. For Missouri, I have Thunderation at Silver Dollar City. Not the best states for arrows. Pennsylvania used to have a prominent arrow, but that was transformed. We'll talk about that one later. We're left with a couple mine trains. One old, one not really new, but more new. Trailblazer is a more traditional mine train. It follows the terrain. It's mild and family friendly. It ends with a nice helix. It's what you would expect from a mine train from the 70s. Now, Thunderation is from the 90s and it was built on top of a hill. This leaves the station and just keeps picking up speed. It tops out at 48 miles per hour, and at the bottom of that hill, you're bumping around and shaking back and forth. It's crazy. It ends with a giant chain lift to get back to the top of the hill, then a big drop before hitting the final brakes. This is my favorite mine train, so Missouri easily gets this point. Now, the battle of the Intamins. For Pennsylvania, you have 3 really good ones to choose from at Hershey Park, and you even have Possessed at Dorney Park. My favorite of this bunch is Stormrunner. This is going up against nothing. Missouri doesn't have a single Intamin. This is a pretty big gap, and since Pennsylvania is so stacked with Intamins, I'm giving them an automatic point for this one, 3-1 Eagles. Next up, the battle of the RMCs. Pennsylvania was almost left out in the dark, but with the announcement of Wildcats Revenge, they finally have one in the state. It's not open yet, but I'm counting it. Missouri has Outlaw Run, the original topper track wooden coaster, and this is a breakneck ride. It covers 2,900 feet of track, so it's kinda short, kinda bumpy, full of crazy forces. It stands 107 feet tall, but like every coaster at Silver Dollar City, it drops off a hill, so its max drop is 162 feet. As my home park RMC, I can't complain. However, this is lower on my list of RMCs, just because it's short and it's not the smoothest ride. Wildcats Revenge will have the all-steel iBox track. It's about 22 feet shorter than Outlaw Run, but it's got about 600 more feet of track, 1 extra inversion. I think this will be better. I can't know for sure, but based on what I've seen, I can't imagine Outlaw Run will outrank Wildcats Revenge. Point for the Eagles. Next, the Battle of the Morgans. For Pennsylvania, they have two prominent Morgan hypers, but I'm not going with Steel Force. I'm going with Phantom's Revenge. For Missouri, it's gonna be Mamba at Worlds of Fun. Phantom's Revenge was built as an Arrow, but Morgan came in and basically RMC'd it. New trains, new layout, smoothed out the track. So I say this is a Morgan coaster, and in my opinion, it's Morgan's best. On the other hand, Mamba has its upsides and downsides. It's 205 feet tall, covers 5,600 feet of track, and it's best at showcasing its speed, maxing out at 75 miles per hour. I rode it with the trims turned down over the summer, and it gave some decent floater airtime, but nothing great. Phantom's Revenge has a drop 23 feet longer, and maxes out at 85 miles per hour, 10 miles per hour faster than Mamba. It's a much shorter ride, but it honestly makes Mamba look like a family coaster. Point for Philly, they have a commanding 5-1 lead. Now, best S&S coaster. For Pennsylvania, it's Steel Curtain, and Missouri has Powder Keg. Steel Curtain has the most inversions of any coaster in the country, turning you upside down 9 times, including the first one that's 220 feet off the ground. 75 miles per hour, 4,000 feet of track. This is a stat monster. It has a unique layout, but I wasn't all that impressed. It seemed like it had a dull rattle the whole time, and it was pretty forceless. Now, Powder Keg is a weird one. Just like Phantom's Revenge, this one was also RMC'd, but not by RMC. This was a Premier Rides water coaster, but S&S came in and turned it into an air launch coaster. This has a powerful launch from 0 to 53 in 2.8 seconds, and then it goes into a series of airtime hills, kind of acting like a weird hyper. It ends with a chain lift and a straight drop, rounding out its 3,500 feet of track, and this is a coaster I really enjoy, especially over Steel Curtain. The Chiefs are back on the board. Next up, Best Vekoma. Neither of these states have anything recent from Vekoma, so we gotta go way back. For Pennsylvania, it's Wild Mouse at Idlewild. For Missouri, it's Boomerang at Six Flags St. Louis. Both of these are relocated, this one coming from Alton Towers in 1993, and it's famous for its slanted lift hill. I got to ride this in 2021, and it was definitely better than a normal Wild Mouse. It's the only Wild Mouse that Vekoma built. Boomerang used to be at Six Flags Over Texas, moving here in 2013, and it's your typical Boomerang. I like these more than most enthusiasts do, and this one has a nice setting at the top of that hill at Six Flags St. Louis. That being said, I would take a ride on Wild Mouse any day. Even if you don't like that answer, Pennsylvania also has Jolly Rancher Remix, and that would also beat Boomerang, or the Boomerang at Worlds of Fun. So either way, the Eagles get another point. Next up, the Battle of Premier Rides Coasters. For Pennsylvania, it's Skyrocket at Kennywood. For Missouri, it's Mr. Freeze Reverse Blast at Six Flags St. Louis. This is a razor-close battle. Skyrocket has an amazing first half, starting with a rolling launch up to 50 miles per hour, an airtime-filled 95-foot top hat, another airtime-filled 0G roll, plus an amazing drop off the mid-course. The second half of the ride is pretty weak, and it only has 2,100 feet of track. Mr. Freeze starts with a backwards launch at 70 miles per hour into a top hat, then an overbank and up a 218-foot tower, only to do the whole thing forwards. It's also a short ride at 1,300 feet, but it does it all twice. These are separated by 2 spots on my overall rankings, but Mr. Freeze gets the edge. Point for the Chiefs. Last manufacturer battle. I combined Gerstlauer and Zero into one. These are similar manufacturers, so I figured this would work. For Pennsylvania, it's Impulse at Knoebels. For Missouri, it's Spinning Dragons at Worlds of Fun. Impulse is a zero tower coaster, starting with a 98-foot vertical lift, a vertical 90-degree drop, almost 2,000 feet of track and 4 inversions. It's a good, compact looping coaster with just a lap bar, even if it's not spectacular. Spinning Dragons is a Gerstlauer spinning coaster. It would make more sense if this state had a Eurofighter, which is very similar to Impulse, but that's not the case. There are just a couple spinning coasters here. Standing 54 feet tall, 31 miles per hour, just over 1,300 feet of track. These are great, especially when you put all the weight on one side of the car. That's where you spin like crazy. I enjoy these more than most people would, but I think Impulse is the more forceful and complete ride. The Eagles get this point, and at the end of the manufacturer battles, the Eagles have a 7-3 lead. Next, the best spinning coaster. For Pennsylvania, it's Laugh Track at Hershey Park. For Missouri, it's Time Traveler at Silver Dollar City. I think Laugh Track is one of the great family coasters out there, and one of the best themed coasters in the country. It's a Maurer Spinner clone, just entirely indoors, 1,400 feet long and a 40-mile-an-hour top speed. But Time Traveler is just in a different league, starting with a vertical 90-foot drop out of the station, 3 inversions, 2 launches, over 3,000 feet of track. Easy win for the Chiefs. Now, the best traditional wooden coaster. For Pennsylvania, it's Phoenix at Knoebels. For Missouri, it's American Thunder at Six Flags St. Louis. Phoenix is a PTC coaster from the 1940s, relocated to Knoebels in 1985, and some way, somehow, this remains one of the great coasters in the country. So smooth, so much airtime, 3,200 feet of track over a double out and back layout. American Thunder is a modern GCI from 2008, 2,700 feet long. Its 80-foot drop is 8 feet longer than Phoenix's drop. I love my rides on this, but it doesn't stack up to Phoenix. If you think it's not fair that I went for American Thunder over Outlaw Run, don't worry, Phoenix would beat that also. Same with Prowler, same with Zambezi Zinger. Phoenix is that good. Now, let's reward the quantity of quality. I'm going to take my top 5 coasters from each state, add up their overall ranking, and see who has the lower number. For Missouri, it's Time Traveler at 21, Outlaw Run at 42, American Thunder at 57, Powder Keg at 62, and Mr. Freeze at 85. That adds up to 267. For Pennsylvania, it's Phantom's Revenge at 33, Phoenix at 37, Candemonium at 52, Storm Runner at 68, and Ravine Flyer 2 at 81. That adds up to 271. So, by just 4 points, Missouri and the Chiefs win the point and pull the score to 8-5. Next, the battle of the best overall coasters. For Pennsylvania, it's Phantom's Revenge. For Missouri, it's Time Traveler. I raved about both of these for good reasons. Phantom's Revenge is a speed machine, and it's glossy smooth, and that finale is full of ejector airtime. Time Traveler has one of the most unique and insane elements ever, that vertical drop out of the station. Ride it in the back row for maximum whip. Plus, you go down sideways. It's got launches and inversions, as I mentioned, but it also has a couple moments of ejector airtime. Throw in some very good theming, and this is my number 21 coaster. Phantom is my number 33. Point for the Chiefs, now 8-6. Now, the battle for the best park. For Pennsylvania, it's Hershey Park. For Missouri, it's Silver Dollar City. Hershey Park has more quantity, and Wildcat's Revenge could be a game changer. That RMC was the one gap they had in their lineup, and they're filling it this summer. Once I revisit this park this year, I will have to see where this ranks on my overall list. As of now, it's hard for anyone to beat Silver Dollar City. You can count the parks that I would rank above it on one hand. It doesn't have great quantity, but it's packed full of quality. Its theming never lets up, front to back. The rides are mostly not visible from the park. They're tucked away in their own spaces in the woods, and that sucks if you're taking pictures, but it makes for amazing ride settings. It also adds to the vibe of the park, not having rides stacked on top of each other. Silver Dollar City is quality from top to bottom, and even though Hershey Park is making a real charge at this point, I'm giving it to the Chiefs, now 8-7. But too bad for the Chiefs. This was the last category. Their comeback bid falls just short, and the Eagles win this battle by the slimmest of margins. Pennsylvania has a lot more parks to choose from, but Missouri's Big Three really hold their own, and they made this battle close. As for the Super Bowl, I have the same feeling about the Eagles as I did last time they made it this far. If they play the way they know how, they will win. I can also see them laying an egg and getting rolled. It's hard to picture the Chiefs coming out and playing poorly, so the Eagles are going to have to earn it. I think they are capable of doing just that. And just like Nick Foles and the 2017 Eagles played their best game and beat the Pats, I think the Eagles played their best game and beat the Chiefs. Final score, 30-24. I have literally zero confidence here, so please don't take this prediction to the bank. Let me know what you think about these battles, which state reigns supreme, and who you think is going to win Super Bowl 57. Before you go, don't forget to drop a like, and if you're new here and love coasters, please give me a sub. Also, check out my links below for my Discord server, and my second channel where I post copyright-free off-ride footage, and my baseball channel if you're a baseball fan like me. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time.